Dr. Homebrew is brought to you by 5 Star Chemicals, providing safety and cleaning supplies for brewing, distilling, and winemaking at 5starchemicals.com.
Doctor, look!
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Clear.
It's Dr. Homebrew back in the studio. Last time we did the shows, we were at HomebrewCon.
Yes,
in
we were.
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
And now it's some strange celebration like the 6-0 of Julio in downtown Concord here. Like there's insanity downtown.
It's crazy. Well, it's all for us coming back to the studio. We're reunited with Keith here.
Celebrating their return. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, and you know, I wondered all the music, like what's going on, and I'm like, man, it's all for me. And there was people just lined up outside the Hop Grenade, just waiting to meet me and shake my hand. So it was pretty awesome.
It's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. So not that anybody has heard these shows because they haven't been edited and put up yet. I just got them yesterday. But, you know, hey, man, that's kind of what happened. So
I have to say, we were a little outside of our element there. We were limited to...
It was tough.
Like 3 headphones and yeah, we had to share a mic half the time. And
it was tough. I'm not going to lie, man. I was definitely out of my element. I forgot that we do 2 breaks, not 1.
We forgot that we had sponsors. We forgot we had to drink beer and taste it and rate it.
I assume you guys weren't drinking before the show at all, right?
We were probably drinking before the show.
It was weird, man. It was the first time I have had to drive a live show like that. I've always just been on either during the session or Brewing with Style or something like that in front of a crowd. Never just kind of drive it. And I thought, oh, it'll be fine. And then I'm like, fuck, I have no live reads. I have no commercial breaks. I have no anything. We didn't talk about any of this stuff before we came out here.
Yeah.
So it was a little weird, but we did it. And it was great.
We battled against the karaoke people.
My God, these people have friggin' karaoke going on. It's like, what do you... First of all, look, you go to a karaoke bar to hear karaoke. You don't go...
That's what I do.
You don't go walking on the street, and you're assuming you're never going to be assaulted with karaoke.
Yeah.
Ever. And then you were basically forced to listen to people singing terribly.
Sometimes at a random house party, but, you know, you would expect HomebrewCon would have higher standards.
You would think.
Your cousin's house party.
It happened up in, what was it, I can't even remember the name of the event right now, but the...
Oh, hang on a second. You guys keep talking. I have to start the live stream.
The camp out sort of thing. They were doing karaoke at a number of booths there.
NCHF?
Yeah, NCHF.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it seems to be spreading, and that's not necessarily a good thing.
I like karaoke. I will sing karaoke occasionally at our neighborhood dive bar, but I wouldn't write it on a comment form for a homebrew festival. You know, must have more karaoke. I don't know. It might just be me.
I don't know. For me, somehow at a homebrew festival or a con or whatever the heck that is, I think there's probably enough other things going on that you don't need to entertain yourself with karaoke as well. Right. If you can entertain yourself just with the great beer that you're drinking, then I don't know. Maybe there's maybe you should get out of beer and look into something else.
Maybe you should.
World.
Maybe I'm just mad I didn't get to go and just wish I were doing karaoke.
Yeah,
I would not.
No. But before we get too far afield, I want to thank our partner and sponsor, 5 Star Chemicals. Go to 5starchemicals.com. Learn about everything that you need to do to make great homebrew. Clean it and sanitize it, essentially, is what you're doing. But they will teach you how to do it. They will have the right chemicals and procedures to make sure that it happens. They were at HomebrewCon as well. I'm disappointed I never got to go by their booth. But I saw him walking around and said hi to him real fast one day. And
good people, yeah.
Good people, very nice people. I sincerely hope that some people went up and got them beers like we've asked them to for like 3 months. Because that would make me feel good.
All of our sponsors need beer.
All of our sponsors need beer, but in particular, 5 Star.
In particular, 5 Star.
Right.
They deserve 5 beers for every one.
They do. They absolutely do. We have a cool show for you guys, and I know I say that all the time, but I mean it this time. Most of the time, I'm just lying. But we are going to talk to Jon Birdsong again. He sent in a bunch of other beers, so we're going to drink his beers. And it's a American porter with coffee and chocolate added, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Coffee and chocolate porter.
In the second break, we're going to speak with, who are we talking to, Keith? Some guy called Nick.
Nick Corona.
Why do we care about Nick?
He won the Homebrewer of the Year, not this year's HomebrewCon, the year before. With his German Hefeweizen.
Which is basically the best of show beer out of the, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of bajillions of entries that get entered in Homebrew. And NHC Con,
he and his wife took
now.
Another award this year at the AHA NHC National Homebrew Conference. So he had won another award this year as well. So we're going to talk to him some about just general feedback, how he uses it, what he thinks about the feedback he gets, and how he can apply it to the beers that he's brewing.
Awesome! Yeah, I can't wait for that. That'll be cool.
And we also, I think, maybe lined up for next month, we are going to talk to this year's winner of the Homebrewer of the Year, Zach Koslow.
Yes.
So that's going to be next
Look at us,
month.
Man.
We'll be talking to him. We'll see if we at some point maybe get some beers in from him, too. That'd be kind of cool to talk to him over some beers, and maybe do the same with Nick in the future as well.
I think we would need to get his beers in.
We need to, yeah.
Yeah.
We need some of that good beer.
That? It's like a phone, vibrating. It's driving me nuts right now.
Maybe you're allergic to electromagnetic resonance.
Maybe I'm going crazy, but I want to tear the studio apart and find it, because I feel like.
Have you watched Better Call Saul?
No, I haven't. Is it worth it? Is there a guy who's crazy in there like this?
That reminds me of a scene. Yeah. Well, I won't go into detail.
No, but really, HomebrewCon was cool. Doing our live show was cool. And apparently, we were frazzled. The second show we did there was our 100th show.
Well, we don't like to celebrate even numbers so much anyway, so that we're celebrating our 101st show.
So today is our 101st show.
In honor of California Highway 101.
Probably that's exactly why. I don't know.
Just to be weird.
Just to be weird. So I do want to thank everybody for listening to the shows, man. This is our 100. Okay, I'm going to find that.
You survived 100 shows, and now you're stuck listening to us talk because JP has a weird sound somewhere in the studio buzzing at him.
I can hear it!
He can hear it. It's there.
I can hear it somewhere.
It's real. It's like that mosquito in your tent when you're out camping, and it's driving you nuts.
It's just under. God, I can't do this. It's driving me insane. It's not. Maybe it's not a phone, but it's just this. Here, just see if you can listen to it. Wait, here it goes.
Is it it's outside? Yeah. Is it outside the band playing?
It's a pulsing
bass
sound.
Yeah, it's
a pulsing sound. It's just
the bass from outside.
There you go.
It's the chanting of the monks.
It might be outside, but I'm shocked that I can pick it up in my headphones. But you take the headphones off and you can barely hear it. I don't know. Anyway, I'll try to get over it. Let's just talk over it.
Yeah, I think it is the bass from the system out there.
You think so?
Yeah.
It would give that. It would like an electronic hum like
just
that.
Run out there and yell, say, "Go, turn it out!"
God, I can't even deal with it. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a break real fast.
Sanity break.
And we're gonna take a sanity break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk to Jon. We're gonna drink his beer, and we're gonna learn a little bit more about Jon and what he did to craft a coffee chocolate porter. And is it a coffee chocolate porter or a chocolate coffee porter? These are the important distinctions that I need to know.
Serenity now.
All right, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Games.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making. Now, back to the examination.
Hey, thanks for sticking around, assuming you're still there. With us now, we have Jon. Jon, are you there, buddy?
I'm here.
How you doing, man?
Hey.
Good, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Now, we talked to you a couple months ago, right?
We did.
All right. How did that go for you? You're still alive, so
it went
clearly
well.
you didn't take too much what we said to heart.
He rebrewed with
it was
ferocious passion.
Good to have the feedback. So.
Good. All right. Well, then we'll forgo all the formalities about how long you've been brewing and blah, blah, blah. And tell me a little bit about this beer. Why a coffee chocolate American porter?
So it's the first porter I've made. This is actually brewed back in October. So just kind of getting into different styles and wanted to try that. Wanted to try experiment a little bit with the coffee and the cocoa.
Okay. Just straight up American ingenuity. Just wanted to figure it out. Just wanted to play with it.
Wanted to try it, yeah.
Okay. That works for me, man. Well, let's get into this beer. Brian, you want to start us off?
Yes. So we got it entered as a 34C, which is the experimental beer category. As a coffee chocolate American porter, category 20A is the base. So in the nose, I'm getting a very rich chocolatey nature to it there. Kind of a light coffee impression with just a medium light roast coffee, like one of those smoother blends of coffee, just pretty background in there. And I thought maybe it was a little cold at first, but actually when I got into it, it's warmed up. It's at a good serving temperature. So, sometimes some of those things will hide a little bit, but it was definitely backgroundy. Smooth aroma overall. It's not acrid or burnt in a harsh way at all. It's pretty nice, smooth, mellow aromas. I got a low floral hop in there. Nothing too aggressive. Medium low fruity esters. No DMS or diacetyl. It's cleanly brewed. Lightly sweet. And little hints underneath of some caramel and treacle kind of aromas, which might lean towards maybe the more Englishy side of the porter spectrum. But I thought it was pleasantly balanced for the porter base style, but the specialty ingredients do not stand out as much as hoped. The coffee especially. The color, medium brown, nice clear appearance, low light tan head that fades fairly quickly. Mostly finer bubbles around the rim of the glass there. Big, and the flavor, big chocolate comes through in the flavor right away. And it's, I'd be neat to hear how you used your chocolate, but the coffee is, again, just a supporting kind of act. Seems like a cleanly brewed ale. I didn't get any off flavors, medium-low bitterness. I like the water for this beer seemed to be pretty smooth. It wasn't too obviously minerally. No big sulfates or anything poking out there. Low floral hop flavor, balance the malt, definitely. And the chocolate is lingering in the aftertaste, well into the aftertaste, and it's maybe a bit high. So in the mouthfeel, it's medium-bodied. Hints of, I felt like I got a hint of some alcohol warmth. I was kind of debating that. It's soft, but there's a little alcohol there. Maybe it's a 6% or so where you're just getting to the edge of getting a little bit of warmth, but no heat, no hot warmth. It's slightly creamy, smooth, not astringent at all. No biting quality to it. Medium-low carbonation, kind of leaning towards the lower end of carbonation spectrum for this beer, I'd say. Overall, it's a pleasant drinking porter. It's got some nice, good portery flavors. Smooth, very easily drinkable. I just felt that the balance was too strongly to the chocolate, and that the coffee struggles to compete with that and be heard. So like kind of a more I prefer the darker coffees too myself, but like kind of more of something that gives the impression of a medium dark roast playing off of that. All else that's here, I think it's got enough sweetness to support it. It's got plenty of chocolate to let the coffee push back a little more against that. And all else that's here would just give it a better balance, playing off of it that way. Special ingredients to the base style. You can also push up the CO2 a little bit. It might just be a bottling, variation or a bottling issue. It could be perfectly foamy in the keg, but as Keith reminded me too, the chocolate could be interfering with the head retention as well here too. So it's but it's also just very light in the mouthfeel carbonation wise, and I think that some more carbonation could drive some of those more American porter flavors that are there, but. You can also rethink the way. I would, declare it as a 30A. Could do better as just a porter with chocolate, like a spice or vegetable beer. Whatever kind of porter you decide to name it there. But I just thought it was a really good, nicely brewed beer. Just needs some balancing to get it more towards what it's declared as. So I gave it a 35. Thought it was pretty tasty. I could drink a lot of it.
Excellent. Keith.
Okay. Bottle inspection. It was appropriate size, cap fill level, label removal. Comments. It was a really weird bottle. And later on, I would like to ask you what this bottle is.
It's like a stubby.
It looks like one of those ginger beer bottles almost.
It kind of looks like a Red Hook ESB bottle.
Yeah, I forgot they did change those bottles a long time ago when I forgot because I stopped drinking it. But anyway, moving on. Stopped drinking it in the late 90s. So aroma, honestly, I think I have a lot of the same comments that Brian has, but let me talk through it here. Really strong cocoa notes. Get a hint of vanilla. I'm not getting any hops at all. Getting a low nuttiness and just a low toast, low roast. But really, I'm getting the coffee really is just really subtle as well, if I'm getting any at all. I'm having a hard time differentiating between an aroma, the coffee, and the roast. And really, I'm seeing the cocoa chocolate dominate throughout. Very clean. Esters are low. No off aromas at all. Appearance, medium dark brown. Not opaque. Definitely can see through it. Has some hints of red in it. Light haze to it. Very low head. As Brian mentioned, is it possibly from the chocolate oils or just low carbonation? The head, though, was lightly tan. And moving on to flavor, once again, strong chocolate is chocolate is the main flavor I'm getting here. Getting a little bit of sweet malt. It's almost chocolate milk reminiscent in some ways. There's a light graininess. That was a little bit thin for a porter. Probably lower than style in terms of bitterness if you're comparing it to an American porter. Getting a little bit of vanilla again, and more vanilla actually than I get the coffee. No hops, very clean again in fermentation, no off flavors. Balances towards sweet more than hoppy, but still fairly dry. I wouldn't call it cloying. Mouthfeel, medium body, medium low carbonation. Carbonation feels like it's a little bit on the low side for an American porter. Light astringency, could be from the roast, could be from the coffee. Just a really low alcohol warming, but still there. Overall impression, I love the way the chocolate comes across in this beer. I think you did a really great job with fermentation and presenting the chocolate. I think to improve this, I would consider upping some of the dark malt, some of the specialty malt, possibly as well. And, if you want to declare the coffee, you have to taste the coffee. So I would consider either adding more coffee or changing the way you put the coffee in the beer. The way it is right now, I still think it's a really good beer. I would consider entering this as, I think Brian mentioned, as a 30A. I would actually call it, though, a chocolate English porter, not a chocolate American porter. I think it fits that style a little bit better with the restrained bitterness, the restrained roastiness. I think it fits a little bit better into that category. Maybe it doesn't have all the esters you'd expect in an English porter, but I think it does sort of lean toward that more. You could score a little bit higher. I scored it a 31, still a really good score. I think it's still a really enjoyable beer. I just feel like, as declared, it kind of misses the mark a little bit. And having multiple ingredients, it's a tough call. Do you want to enter that in 34C? But both coffee and chocolate are technically, I guess, spiced herb vegetables. So I think you can get away with just in a 30A if you wanted to. Like I said, once again, I'd go with English in this one. But I'm really impressed, especially, I should be using, this is not knowing this but when I judged it, but being that you brewed it in October, I think it's holding up quite well. I'm not getting it much oxidation, if any at all, in this beer. And that's something that, I usually always struggle with is oxidation in a lot of beers. I thought this was just, you did a really good job of bottling it. And
yeah, if it was done in October and it's, kept the oxygen out since then. And some of the richer flavors can fade off a little bit, and then they'll meld together and give more of a. I think the chocolatiness that would survive a little more than like the roastiness and the rich coffee flavors.
The coffee, yeah.
So that might be part of it here too. Was it a little more coffee-like to you early on, or are you tasting it with us now?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
okay. Definitely. So this is from a keg, so that's probably just the carbonation would be. I'm just bottling from a wand,
picnic tap,
off of a picnic tap. But so the keg in the keg, and the first couple of months, the coffee was really strong, and I noticed it fade over time, even in the keg too. So.
Yeah. No, it's pleasant. It's still there. It's just it's very faint at this point. So
Well, that'll happen, right? That you can't really. Yeah. The only cure for that is to drink it.
Drink
faster.
it young. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's a cure for many things, by the way. Drink it faster.
Yeah. Blood of humans, drink them young, because that's how you maintain your good looks. John, do me a favor, man. Tell me about how you added the coffee and how you added the chocolate and what you did there. Maybe we can kind of tweak some of that stuff.
Yep. So the chocolate was cocoa nibs, 8 ounces, soaked in vodka for a couple weeks,
and then
added it in secondary. So.
Yeah.
And then the coffee was cold brew coffee, added in secondary.
Was it a 5-gallon batch, John?
It was a 10-gallon batch, but I split that and only did the coffee and chocolate in 5 gallons. So that would be in 5 gallons.
How many nibs? I'm sorry. How many ounces?
8 ounces.
8 ounces, and with just enough, and 1 vanilla bean in there too. Oh. So that's some of the vanilla.
Because why not? For how long did you age the nibs on there for?
I had it on the vodka for probably 3 weeks, and then on the beer for probably a month and a half.
Okay.
Or so, yeah.
I would say go longer on that, on the nibs. You don't need a whole, especially for 5 gallons. I found like 4 is pretty good for like 2 months, 3 months.
So do fewer nibs and longer time.
But you have a decent chocolate-like flavor going on.
What do you like to do with coffee, JP?
Right?
Let's find out. So you said it was a cold brewed coffee. How many?
Yeah, it was cold brewed coffee. It was probably about 12 ounces of coffee. So you probably up that. And actually, I'd probably next time put that straight in the keg versus
regular strength.
Yeah.
Regular strength coffee, or was it like an espresso strength?
Well, it's
in between,
like double strength, I guess.
Light. What was the roast on it? Light, medium, or dark?
Yeah.
I think it was a medium roast.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. For me, I'm getting a very green bell pepper thing, which you can get with kind of lighter roast coffees.
You actually get a darker. I found that you get it from darker roast coffees more than the lighter roast coffees.
I mean, I'm actually surprised it's cold brew. Usually, it's a flavor I'll get if you add the grinds or the beans directly to the beer. I would suggest changing your roast up. I mean, just try it. I mean, why not? And see if you can get it. If you can get that to go away on a darker roast, not like a French roast or anything. You don't want that crap in there. But
hazelnut coffee, pretty much, is what you're thinking.
Yeah.
No.
I've used a peanut butter coffee and a peanut butter porter before. So.
Oh wow.
You're gross.
It was a really good beer.
I'm sure it was.
Hi.
So when we were talking about it being a little thin or needing a little more body, how can we? Actually, John, do you want to go through your recipe if you have that in front of you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I do.
Let's do that.
So here's the 10 gallon recipe: 10 pounds of marisada, 10 pounds of two-row, 3 pounds of Munich, a pound of Crystal 40, a pound of Crystal 60, a pound of chocolate malt, 8 ounces of pale chocolate malt, 8 ounces of chocolate wheat, 8 ounces of flaked oats, 4 ounces of Black Prince, 4 ounces of roasted barley, and then hops were 1 ounce of Magnum at 60 minutes and 1 ounce of Fuggles at 15 minutes. And then the yeast was the 1058.
8 ounces of oats. Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, you're not trying to do like an oatmeal stout or anything, but how can you get the body up on this thing, guys? And that's for 10 gallons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can obviously add more of the crystal malt is one way to do it. I mean, I wonder if some of it's just age. Just feels a little bit thin that way. But, definitely add more crystal, add some carafoam or dextra malts as well would work. Generally, though, I don't know. I find with dark beers, I don't have a problem a lot with body, but that's me, not you. I felt like this pH was really good in terms of. I mean, the other answer obviously always is, hey, mess with your mash temperature and duration of mash and mash higher for shorter. But what was the OG again? I think I missed that. Did you mention that or?
I didn't mention it, and I don't have that note in front of me. It turned out at about 6%. In the end, so
did you say 10?
I forget where it started at. It ended in the 10-10, 10-12 or something like that.
And for the yeast, did you say 1058? Was it, or is it 1056?
Oh, probably 1056.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's the American ale.
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
sure. I haven't heard of that one.
That's another one. Have some more residual sugars too. Use a different yeast strain, and something English. 1968, something like that as well would give you the little different characters. Well, I mean, I'm surprised that it finished at 10-10-10. I'm not surprised by tasting it, but I don't know. I mean, I struggle to get.
It's got a little sweetness left to it, but yeah. I think the oats could thin out the body too. I mean, if you want them there for a creaminess, it's kind of doing that, but they might be lightening up the body a little bit too. Just a source of carbs there, basically.
JP, you do porters. What do you think that recipe compared to what you're doing in porters? What do you feel like? I know you don't like an entirely roasty porter either, and this is probably kind of subtle.
I mean, I think the specialty malts are good. I think that those flavors are fine. You kind of threw me with I think it might just be the age playing into it also a little bit.
Yeah.
I do think it needs a little more body. I definitely don't think it needs any more roast. I think the porter recipe is fine. It just, like you guys said, it just needs a little tweak on the body there, and I think that's pretty much all. And I think that'll help the chocolate. It'll help the coffee a little bit. It'll kind of help everything stand up a little bit.
Yeah, and the coffee again, it would be stronger if you. Yeah, I guess you could always re-steep, add some more coffee to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you probably didn't intend people to be tasting this. How many months is it now? 7 to 8, 9 months later? I don't even know. I can't even count.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Did you brew the coffee yourself? I apologize if I asked that already.
Yeah. Okay. So my wife brews
or did you walk all the way down to Dunkin' Donuts?
So I had her make some for it.
Oh, so she made it. You didn't make it. So you said that you made it yourself.
Yeah, we made it. We made it at home here.
We made it together. Okay, so it was a joint
effort. That's cool.
Do you roast the coffee yourself?
No, it's just store-bought coffee.
Right.
I thought there was
Let's not get too crazy.
I thought there was a big fire. I was thinking about getting a coffee roaster, and they were like reading the instructions, not the instructions, but just sort of the recommendations, like never leave your coffee roaster alone. And I guess yesterday down in San Jose, someone left their coffee roaster alone, and the whole house just up in flames. And they were like, it wasn't a coffee pot, it was actually a coffee roaster that put the house up in flames. Like, maybe I won't buy that coffee roaster that I was thinking about getting. So I really don't feel like burning my place down right now.
Which one was it? Do you know?
Did the brand? No, that's the news. It's the local news.
I have like the Nesco, where you can do like 4 ounces at a time. It has a catalytic converter essentially, so it doesn't really smoke, which is cool. But like some of those, like the B-Mores, when you do like a pound, and that chafe, that paper can catch on fire, and it's it's bad, man. That's bad. Well, John, do you have any questions for the homies here?
I don't think so. And to confirm, I'm pretty sure that probably was a Red Hook bottle that you're after.
Thank
you. But no, thanks for the feedback. Cool.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, it's a good beer, especially, like we said, for being so old and ancient even.
Yeah, you can pour a pint of it and drop just a little bit more coffee in there too, and see if it pops back up to where it was.
Dude, I have this Trader Joe's selling this cold brew coffee extract that I really want to try in a beer, and I think some beers like this that are maybe past its prime but still taste good just needs a little bit of oomph. I think there's a market for some flavor additives and some things that you can do just to kind of keep it going. Like on HomebrewCon, we got the the blood orange flavoring puree, the shelf stable puree. I'm sure you can get something not blood orange in this, because I think that would be way too bitter. But why not, man?
Yeah.
Or just send it to us. All right, John. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right, dude.
Thank you.
Later.
All right.
That was a cool beer.
Yeah, it was. Would have liked to taste it about 4 months ago.
Oh, my God, right? That would have been rad.
Or so.
That would have been rad. Okay, let's take a break, and we're going to come back and talk with Nick about how to read a score sheet, because I have problems, of course, every friggin' time, and I'm not the only one, so I don't feel too crazy, with my score sheets, and I don't know what to do about it. And so hopefully Nick is going to help us kind of interpret some things and let us know how he, made it to, I think, kind of what we all want to make it to, right?
Yeah, how he knows how to brew beer to impress the judges, and that's something, people work hard at that to do well in some of these big competitions, because you're working with multiple levels in some of these competitions,
right.
A lot of times multiple experience levels and everything, so it's an art form. So we'll pick his brain a little bit.
Exactly. All right, back after this, everyone. Stay tuned.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star San, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Are you a member of the White Labs Customer Club? If not, you should be. It's the easiest way to earn free stuff for turning in your old homebrew labels from either Vials or Pure Pitch. All you have to do is save your labels and redeem them for things like free yeast, an exclusive White Labs t-shirt or sweatshirt, and even the opportunity to brew with the yeast man himself, Chris White. Signing up is easy. Just go to whitelabs.com/customer club, fill out the registration form, and then mail in your labels. They will return the favor by sending you awesome White Labs swag. Go sign up today at whitelabs.com/customer club. White Labs, pure yeast and fermentation since 1995.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but we're going to have to pour you out.
Back to Dr. Homebrew.
Hey, everybody. Thanks a lot for sticking with us.
Yeah.
Before we get to calling Nick here, actually, let me dial this. Let me dial this thing, and hopefully he stays on. Do want to tell you guys about the iDip. Now, we hung out with the guys at iDip there at HomebrewCon. I like seeing those dudes. George is a good dude, and stoked about the iDip and what what we're doing to push that. And really, if you want to make the best beer, you have to start making the best water. And the Smart Brew water testing kit incorporates a photometer system, which is the first and only one on the market with its own app. You can use it for home or commercial use. So you people trying to go pro, this could be the first bit of homebrew kit that you buy, or not homebrew kit, but professional. It's the only meter on the market that runs water tests with no math needed on your part. It pairs via Bluetooth and updates your water results instantly. You can send it to the rest of your brewing team or post it to your Facebook page and let your homebrew club get the lowdown on your base water profile. It has the ability to test over 40 different water quality tests. 4 come preloaded and more are available. You can test for stuff like total alkalinity, chloride, calcium, hardness, pH, sulfate, and more, with only 4 mils of water needed for each test. So you're not wasting a bunch of water. The Brewing Network special, they have a special for us because we are special, and by proxy, you're special. Enter code TBN10 at checkout and save $10 on either the standard or the advanced Smart Brew testing kit. Go to smartbrewkit.com. All right, we should have Nick Corona on the line. Nick, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Hello, guys.
Perfect. How you doing, man?
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Nick.
I'm doing all right.
Good. Yeah, good.
How are you guys
good.
doing?
Not too bad, man. We're just we're sitting in air conditioning, which is great first step, and then we're just drinking beer, dude.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. You guys are fortunate. I don't have air conditioning over here, but I do have beer, so that's nice.
Yeah, 1 out of 2, man.
Yeah.
1 out of 2. So do me a favor. Talk to me a little bit about what happened in 2016 in your brewing, and we can go from there. What happened?
Well, 2016. I guess it was spurred on by Mr. Keith Cost. In 2015, I was fortunate enough to get to meet him, and yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got to meet him at the NHC San Diego, and he was really killing it. He kills it all the time in competitions, and kind of spurred a little bit more of my competitive drive, and started trying to enter more competitions and try and step up my game a little bit. And I guess it started to pay off in 2016, and then the shock of NHC came over, and that was where I hit the best of show there. And all of a sudden, I've got I had the Homebrewer of the Year title now, which is handed over, which is fantastic. But just entered a bunch of competitions and really tried to step up my brewing game as a whole.
Excuse me. I'm getting choked up hearing that story. It's very
So, what do you feel was like the most important part of what you did to change up what you were doing, or the part that you really focused on that paid off in dividends, as opposed to things that a lot of people might care about and don't? You know what I mean?
It's a good question because on the show, I'm assuming everybody knows because we're a highly popular show. But we judge homebrewers' beers. They send them in, and we sit here and they can ask questions, which is obviously not what you can do in a normal competition scenario. So I think it'd be good to chat with you a little bit about what Brian just asked you, what you did, what you paid attention to, in hopes that we can kind of pass that information along to our listeners.
Right, exactly, and yeah, you hit the nail on the head with it. With competitions, I mean, this is the great part of the show, is that they're going to get instant feedback as opposed to having to kind of run the gamut of what you're trying to experience in competitions, where you're entering your beers, you're not quite sure exactly who is judging your beers, and there are some competitions where it's kind of helter-skelter and it's hit and miss with what you can really put into that feedback that you're getting. But that was really a big part of it for me, was trying to enter more than one competition, get that feedback, and try to compile some areas in my recipes that I'd actually be able to really focus on and improve on. But what I found is that as I started to get those the score sheets back, I started to find the different aspects of my beers that I thought and assumed that I was focusing on, but I hadn't really put as much effort into it as I do now. And there's so many details when it comes to brewing. It's just such an incredible process. And calculations and knowing your equipment became something that I really started to focus and hone in on. And that's truly what really stepped up my game.
When you say calculations, what do you mean? Just making sure that your grain bill is accurate each time, or deeper than that?
Getting to your water profile, trying to hit your exact mash pH that you want to a 100th or something, or what?
Fermentation temperature schedule. Yeah, you're going to say yes to all those.
Yes. Check.
Yes. All of the above. The water profile thing was one of the final frontiers for me. I really started to get focused in on specific water profiles for each category. Here in California, from everything I've been learning through a lot of people in my homebrew pub, which has been fantastic, and getting that knowledge from them as well. We're drawing from different sources throughout the year, so you can't really just send your stuff off to Ward Labs and just count on that. So I moved to RO, and I started developing my own water profiles and specifically adding back salts, and I used Brungard's Brewing Water calculator, really trying to get that aspect of it down. But one of the funny things is that I hadn't really even been paying too close attention to my cell counts on yeast, and that was one of the things that I took for granted. You know, when you first get your first home brew kit in the mail, they send you one yeast pack, and you don't even look at the date, and you figure this is for 5 gallons. I put it in, and I'm going to have beer when I'm done. So that was one of the things that I really started.
Just didn't take off. What's going on? Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that was one of the things that I really started to focus in on. And I'm fortunate that I've got White Labs here so close, so for the most part, I can normally grab some fresh vials, but even if not, I step it up and get a better understanding of it through Yeast Man, and that's really helped out as well. But obviously, you guys just instantly hit on a number of things that happened that year that I really started to focus on.
So what motivated you to do those things, Nick? And first of all, you're being way too kind. When I met you, you were already, you served me some beers the first time I met you. They were already great beers. So you were already there, on the path, if not already there. But what how did you go the extra mile? Was it talking to people in the club? Was it, getting feedback, entering competitions where they were like, hey, your water seems a little bit hard in this beer? Like, what was the for each of them, the impetus to make sure I get the yeast right, to make sure I have the water profile right, to make sure I'm doing the other things that I need to do just to sort of step up my game a little bit more? How did you do that for each of those steps? I mean, how did you learn that? And was it reading on the internet as well? But I'll let you answer instead of adding conjecture.
Guessing all the answers, and you can just pick one.
A, B, C, D, or E?
Yeah, what you said.
Yeah.
Who are the best sources?
Thrilling.
No, it was. Yeah, it was definitely a combination of all of those things. It really was. I have to be perfectly honest with you. My building confidence through the brewing process is important. It's extremely important. And as you're going from one recipe to another, I still found myself questioning whether or not I had a good comprehension of what I was doing. And so to kind of bounce those beers off of some of the more educated palates that we had that I was able to draw from, and that's luxury that I have, and you guys know what kind of luxury that is, and that's what's so great about that was what was so fantastic about meeting Keith. An experienced palate like that is such a luxury and something that I really wanted to draw on. So I started to really rely on some people that I could try and find who had those palates, who could discern any issues with my beers and share that feedback with me, to where I could kind of go back to the drawing board and pick things up from the start and say, okay, here's what they're experiencing, and I needed to find out what I need to do to fix that. And I drew on anything I could. I mean, I get on the internet and I do searches. We're so fortunate. I mean, we are so fortunate. I look back at some of the people who have come before us, and I could not imagine homebrewing without having Google, without having all of the
dark
forms
ages
that
of
we have.
1992. How did they do it? How did they make beer?
Right. It's so awesome to think that they were setting that foundation for everything that's happening now, and just everything that they went through without being able to instantly draw from, all of that knowledge. So I really definitely take my hats off to everyone else that came before. So, they've been integral in a lot of the homebrewer success that's going on right now, and that's what I've been trying to just draw from.
So beyond beer score sheets and individual people that have influenced you along the way, have you ever gone through any homebrew judge training? I don't know if you're a judge or not yourself.
I'm not a judge.
Okay.
For the past year, I've been attending BJCP 101 classes as consistently as I can, which is probably about once a month.
Awesome.
But the reason I'm not a judge at this point, and it might be a little weak, but I work on the weekends. I work in a casino, so I work on the weekends.
Yeah, if you don't at least have some free time, it's hard, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have a tough time keeping up my points, but I'm definitely pursuing those BJCP 101 classes, which is something that my home brew club threw together here, and we've been really fortunate to attend those classes. They go over a different category each time, and it's really helped me develop confidence in my palate as well.
Yeah, I found that for myself, just going through the BJCP training courses was a big step in my beer education along the way, and I was maybe a little haphazard early on and enthusiastic, and I became more careful and learned what a judge is looking for, and you kind of start to think like a judge when you go through that training and start leading some classes even. And yeah, we brought up a bunch of good judges in our club, but it was a real eye opener. Some people say, oh, if you become a beer judge, will you just be so picky that you just hate all beers after that, or can you still just enjoy beer for beer? And I still have to say I still enjoy it for what it is and the balance of a well-crafted beer. It's not hard to find one these days, so you're not.
Yeah, it also helps you do a couple of things. One is identify flaws, and if they're in your own beer or just other beers, even if you never have an acetaldehyde problem, you can now know what it tastes like. So if you're at a homebrew club meeting, or at the conference or whatever, and someone gives you a beer and you're like, that seems off, I'm not sure what that is. If you have a little bit of training, then you get you can sort of figure that out, or diacetyl or whatever. And others, it sort of educates you about styles as well, and you get to taste commercial examples of, say, a Belgian Golden Strong, which Nick, obviously I know you know about now, winning again a medal in that style this year, not again, but winning this year in the NHC again. But you have to learn these styles, and it's such a good foundation for, hey, I want to brew something. I can read everything about what it's supposed to be like, but when I'm done with it, do I know what it really is? Is this what it's supposed to be? And I'm sure you can go to the store and find one, but having a class that usually present all the styles to you, and you get a chance to taste them, and then you're like, hey, did what I just make taste like what I had in class? Oh yeah, it exactly. It tastes like Duvel. Let me send it off to a competition and see what other people say about it. So I think that helps as well to sort of identify, am I making things that taste like, commercial examples, what people are expecting when they're judging my beer.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably also just of the winners this year. I think you're probably the second most recognizable, because people saw even people that didn't go, they saw the pictures of Sangjae Park came up from South Korea, and that guy's enthusiasm was just contagious. Yeah. But then yours was memorable. Awesome. And I was sitting with you guys, kind of sitting behind, because none of my club members went, sadly, but so I was kind of living vicariously through the Quaff people. We were passing beers around there.
I was stoked you sat with us, by the way.
And they called they called the other beers, and then they called your name, and you raised up that picture of your co-brewer there.
Oh, that was you. Okay,
that was him. So people know him.
Cool.
Yeah, I was the co-brewer. It's a funny story with that whole thing.
Yeah, tell us the story.
Yeah, I was the co-brewer with that, but the whole goal from the start has been to open our own brewery, which so many people have aspirations to do, and that was the whole goal from the start. So, unfortunately, I was a victim of a few snide remarks. You know, I'm brewing, I'm working, and as you guys know, it takes a lot of work, and sometimes you get a little grouchy when you're cleaning, and I'll find myself saying little things like, no, you got to just leave that there.
Right.
Next thing you know, she understands, obviously, that she's going to be a part of this. She's going to be, if our family's going to open a brewery, hopefully in the future, then she's going to be a part of this. So finally she says, you know what? I need to figure this out. I want to brew.
That's cool.
I had a choice, and the choice was either I can throw her out in my garage by herself and let her figure it out, or help her. And unfortunately, I helped her. So I took on the co-brewer role, and you saw what happened this year, and it was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome, and I brought that picture, and she had no idea I brought that picture, and I had no idea that I was even going to be able to use the picture. But it was there. It was sitting in my backpack and ready to go.
So is Candy going to the conference next year instead of you, and you have to stay home, and she'll bring a picture of your giant head to the conference just in case?
She should just bring the same picture, just of herself. That would be great.
Thankfully, she doesn't geek out as hard as I do on beer, so I think I might be safe with that. She has been, unfortunately, rubbing the metal in my face for the past month, so that kind of sucks, but I think she's going to let me put it in the garage soon.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Nick. With regards to score sheets, how do you find the feedback from score sheets as a propellant, I guess, an accelerant to making better beer? Do you find kind of overall the state of judging is good, is healthy? Are you getting good feedback, or are you like me and super cynical, and every remark you get is like an affront to your personal well-being?
Okay, so I can fully empathize with what you put into words, and I respect that, and I just don't have that ability because I play the devil's advocate in my mind, and I stop and I think, okay, take it easy, Nick. He's not making a personal attack on you. He's judging your beer. But seriously, when I get my score sheets back, yes, I think any artist, any home brewer, anyone who puts a lot of work and effort into something has a personal attachment to it. And that's normal. I think that's absolutely human. It's human to do that.
Oh yeah.
I've had to really get to a point to where I disassociate myself with that, and I have had to say, hey, you know what? Try to take everything with a grain of salt, because you're going to get those score sheets sometime that it's just not accurate about your beer, but then you're going to get those score sheets where it is accurate. And that's where I've talked to so many people about entering competitions when they haven't entered competitions, and I've explained to them that, look, that's the best way for you to improve. You need to get some honest feedback, because your mom and your dad, they're always going to love your beer.
Right.
True.
But when you enter it in the competition, people are trying to give you a good anonymous feedback. And the reason that I say trying is because sometimes you don't know who that person is on the other end. And periodically you're going to get something that might not be accurate, and that's where I followed that up with, you know what, you also need to enter that same beer in a few competitions in order to just see if there are similarities in some of the off flavors that they're citing in your beer. Because if you start to notice a few of the same comments being made, then there's an issue and you need to address it. And the last thing I would want, I had a guy come up to me at San Diego Fair, a friend of mine, and told me a story about his father-in-law who had entered one competition, just started brewing, entered one competition, got a score sheet back that said nasty on it.
Wow.
Jeez. Never brewed again. Never brewed again. One word, nasty. And never brewed again. And that's a very sad story. So I know nothing like that would ever come from the certified judges that we have out there, but at the same time, it kind of goes along with that. You need to enter in a couple competitions and compile those results.
Yeah, the judging philosophy that you get when you're going through the training and reading the study guide is, you always want to stay towards the positive side. Find something nice to say about the beer.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but also I'm kind of glad that that guy's not brewing nasty beer out there.
Don't sugarcoat it. But if there's something wrong with it, just say specifically what it is and how to fix it. In an objective way as possible.
I guess it's one of those things. Like I was thinking, like when we were talking about this, like, if you get a score sheet that you score really well, you score really high, score a 40 or 42, and you come in first, generally you're not like, well, that person sucks at judging. You're just kind of like, oh, yeah, they're right. But in some ways, though, if you look at a score sheet like that and they have a couple of words like, this is great beer, and that's all they put on there, you're still like, you have to question them. Do they really understand beer? Do they really judge it well? So I think really the important part is, like, having a lot of feedback. You obviously want it to be something that you sort of relate to, or you understand, like, hey, I tasted this, they taste it. If it's something you don't taste at all and you pour it again, you're like, well, maybe that was just the bottle. Great advice to enter multiple competitions to see if that's coming through. Maybe there's something going on with your bottling, and stuff like that. But I think, a lot of times we, if it's positive, we're like, hey, that person's a great judge. And if it's negative, they're a bad judge. But there is something to be said when someone's only putting one or two words down that that person is not a very good judge, first of all, because they're not giving you good feedback. And I guess that's one of the tough parts about the checklist score sheets is they always end up kind of being like that. There's not a lot of information there that you can actually use, but they're mostly used in competitions where you're not necessarily looking for feedback. They're kind of like the end game where you're just looking to advance and win, and it's not like, hey, I don't want to know how I'm doing. I just want to move on at this point.
Yeah, just picking out the best beers out of your flight and moving them on. Yeah, that's about it.
But I mean, for the most part, Nick, do you look at score sheets as providing you appropriate feedback just in general, like on a whole?
Yeah, at this point, now that I feel like I've got my process down, I feel like I've got most of the aspects of my beer down. I'm looking for more nuances in the score sheets, but if that's not to say that every once in a while you incorporate a new process into what you're doing, and if it picks something up that maybe you didn't have before in the process, it could be just a simple equipment change or something that you're doing. It's still going to be valuable if they're citing something major that's going on.
What do you mean by nuances? What are you looking for in your feedback now at your level?
Well, in various styles, if you're not getting enough roastiness, maybe you're trying to perfect one of your recipes. Where IPA has always been obviously one of the more popular categories. So I'm really trying to hit on a really great IPA recipe. So I want to see what certain judges are picking up in those beers that I'm putting out, in the different hop profiles that I'm putting out, and the different hops that I'm putting together for those beers. Just the more subtle nuances. I think when you first start out, you're gonna have feedback sometimes for acetaldehyde. You're gonna have diacetyl, and you might have oxidation issues, and those are a little bit more major issues that you can go back and you can say, oh, okay, it's because I'm using just a standard siphon to put out my beers. I'll change that, and I'm gonna transfer under pressure. I mean, those are things that I feel like I've got down now in my process. But I think that kind of feedback when you first get going and you first start entering competitions, that's the kind of thing that can take you from getting high 29s or low 30s to start pumping it up to the high 30s and start showing up in the medal.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, I think one thing, I wanted to say too, as a part of this, coming off of that is you kind of learn how to not just ignore, but like to weed out the bad score sheets. You get two score sheets, and you don't just, oh, well, this guy liked my beer and the other guy didn't. I mean, you can kind of tell which one knows their ass from a hole in the ground if there's two score sheets that are just varying wildly from one another, and one guy's giving consistently solid feedback and thorough feedback, even sometimes the lower ranked judge of the two, but another thing, you just kind of weed out the ones that don't make sense and take what you can from the better of the score sheets. And I think that's a good way to look at it too.
Yeah, my problem this year was that I had score sheets in the finals that contradicted each other. Not like on the judge would contradict themselves.
That's the tough part.
In the same, he would say not roasty enough, and then too roasty, or I like the roast level, or something like that. And it's like, well, and then you gave me a 28.
One guy says high sweetness, the other says no sweetness.
It's insane. It's insane. And
I totally agree. And that's the frustration sometimes that goes along with it. It absolutely is. It's very frustrating. And when you're trying to kick up your recipes, and you're trying to and you feeling good about your beer has done good in the past. When you get something like that, it definitely is a head scratcher. But that's what makes the judging position so difficult. And I don't envy any of those judges. I have judged. I've volunteered to steward, got kicked up to judge. And it's not an easy thing, especially when you understand from the homebrew side of it how much work people put into it, and that all of a sudden it's a big deal. Then that's actually a good place for you to be. I think, unfortunately, every once in a while people get recruited who don't understand that this is important. This is very important for you to defer to the more experienced judge. If you're, they always pair you up with a more experienced judge if you're the newbie. So I think it's really important from those aspects, maybe to have a little pre-judging talk from the more experienced judge, and just let them know, hey, if you're picking something up, you go ahead and do your score sheet, but share it with me afterwards, and we'll talk about it. But I know that there's sometimes some personality clashes at those judging tables, so who knows how that factors in.
It happens,
Right.
Yeah, sometimes you'll just be like, well, let's just meet in the middle then, and that's not necessarily always the best thing to do, because the one person may know what's really going on and the other person may not, and that kind of screws things up a little bit. And I just want to throw out the one thing that frustrates me the most about judging is when I send something in, and then after I send it, I'm like, oh no, this beer has this flaw, and then you're waiting to get the score sheet back to say, yeah, that flaw is there, and you get it back, and they're like, they don't mention the flaw at all. And you're just like, am I going crazy or what? Is the flaw really there? I hate that. That's I'm just looking for validation that what I'm tasting is really there.
Yeah,
and
you paid your $8, and you want to get that feedback.
Right. All right, Nick, we're going to let you go, man. But I appreciate you spending a little bit of time here on a Thursday to chat with us and talk with us about beer, man.
It was nice meeting you in Minneapolis there too, and putting a face to the name. But because Keith always complains about you, But
I've complained about him much longer, so now just a little taste of it. Thank goodness he had a kid.
Yeah, best of luck to you in all your brewing endeavors and judging endeavors in the future, and your brewery as well.
Thanks for all the kind words, Nick.
Cheers.
Take it easy.
Thank you very much, guys. It was an honor.
Thanks for being on.
Later, man.
Bye.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I met him over in Minneapolis there. We were just hanging out the night before, he won his ribbon there. Well, we didn't even talk about his recipe, but we didn't have time. It was just philosophy is kind of a fun thing to go through for me.
That's really what we were doing with it. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. This has been Dr. Homebrew. I guess we have a prize to give away, the Grog Tag $40 gift certificate.
I think John wins that.
That'll go to John. And then I think we also have a beer bug to give away this week. And that'll go to John also. So,
John is the winner.
John,
he sent us beer.
You won everything, dude. What do you think about that? Thank you very much to 5-Star, to all of our sponsors for keeping us on the air and supporting amazing podcast internet broadcasts like this one.
The most popular internet beer judging radio show in the universe.
In the history of the universe. All right, everyone, if you're listening live, and of course, why wouldn't you be? We're going to be take about a 15, 20-minute break, and then we'll come back. Otherwise, if you're listening on the podcast, internet broadcast, just hit next on the old player there. Anyway, this has been Dr. Homebrew. Thanks a lot.